What really interests me is the essence of the person that I'm with, and unraveling the onion bit by bit. I have to be able to engage with that person on a deep, sort of intimate psychological level, as well as just being able to paint something formally. My overriding concern is that they feel like they are in the hands or in the presence of somebody who is on their side, and it's not a combative enterprise, and the finished work should reflect a collaborative nature of what we're doing, rather than the sitter as a passive person who just sits there and accepts my gaze. Okay, ready to go.
I think I'd probably sit with Paul maybe 5 or even 6 times, and he said right at the beginning, the more times that I could manage, the better it would be for him. It's an enormous privilege to have a portrait painted, and it is obviously because I am the Lord Speaker. That's really why I'm being painted. It's nothing to do with me personally, it's to do with the office. What Paul decided was that I should be painted in the costume that I normally wear, which is sort of court dress. I'm going to try and get it on right first time. I normally wear this for things like funerals, memorials, things like that, and for stage opening. But today I'm wearing it for Paul.
Fine, I mean, we'll do a little bit of background and some more on your face.
Right.
A lot of how we judge people is through what's going on in the face, what's coming out of the face. That's why we like portraits, because it reveals something about ourselves as well.
I've never been painted before, so this is the first time.
Yeah.
And I thought that it was going to be quite a sort of static affair, that I'd sort of sit here and I'd have my own thoughts and I'd have to keep, one position. And in fact, actually, what it is a conversation.
Yeah.
It's a relationship.
So what I try and do, and it's very much an unconscious thing, I allow that person's personality to seep in to my consciousness, and I act as almost like a medium. So there are points in the process where I really feel almost not present, because I'm channeling that person in a sense.
I tell you who did come last week, which was fantastic, and that was President Jimmy Carter.
Gosh, I missed all of this.
He was wonderful. He and his wife, Rosalind, still spend a week a year physically hands-on building houses in underdeveloped parts of the world.
If you were sitting with a friend, you wouldn't be thinking, oh, I really need to get some secrets out of this person. They just come because you trust each other, and people generally like to reveal themselves to people that they trust.
To be looked at so intently, not intensely, but intently,
Yes.
that could be quite threatening. If I didn't get on with you, I would find that quite threatening, I think.
Yeah.
Sometimes photographs can get something in that is about the person, the look in the eyes and things like that. They can get something.
But the thing about painting is that from life, anyways, that I'm collecting literally thousands of moments that you and I have, but I've got hundreds, thousands of moments that I can use to inform my vision, as it were. And that distillation is sort of manifest right there at the very end. As the audience who sees this painting, even if they don't know you, it will hopefully come across more like a diary of a time that we spent together.
I see.
Visual diary.
Yeah. The word I think that one has to use is trust, because actually to find someone that you like and get on with, all of that feels very relaxed and comfortable and good, and I think that maybe comes out in the painting.
It's very much trying to tread a line between the informality that I feel with Baroness D'Souza and the formality that's embedded in the work. The sense that this person is not just a cipher, not just a figurehead, but somebody who has their own life and personality.
Paul decided that it ought to have this sort of kind of formal background. So he's placed the portrait, as it were, in the river room. And the river room is a rather lovely room, which used to be the Lord Chancellor's sitting room in the House of Lords, which has got this rather famous Pugin wallpaper on it. A formal portrait can be thought of as a kind of formal photograph. But a painting is clearly something quite different, because what it does is to record something of the interaction between the sitter and the painter. I kind of see a side of me that perhaps I hadn't quite realised. So it's an extremely interesting process.
As far as I know, there are artists who don't like you to see the work as if you're the sitter until the end, when there's a sort of dramatic unveiling. I've never really understood that. I can imagine if you were a sitter and you weren't allowed to see the painting, you'd be getting progressively more and more nervous about it until the end, and then it could be just an enormous shock. But in my case, it's very good that the painting is seen as it goes through the various stages, so the sitter is almost as invested in it as I am by the time it's finished. Unlike a cosmetic surgeon, if you go wrong with somebody's face under the knife, then you really go wrong. But in my case, I can always retrieve it in the last resort with extra paint.